Alright, so we have arrived on scene where the Bobcat was hit by a car. About 10 to 15 minutes before we arrived, the finder saw it go into the woods, which is a relatively small area of forest, but we have been looking for almost an hour now and have not been able to locate it. So we've been walking back and forth through this track of woods, looking for this bobcat. It retreated into here about 15 minutes before we got on site. The guy that had been waiting with it said that it got up and was walking more normally, so it's our hope that it was just stunned. But we've been back and forth, multiple passes, no sign of it at all. We did find some tracks. We don't know if they are from this morning before it got hit or after. The woods are open in some areas, and then it gets really, really thick, and there's a ton of poison ivy out here. On one side of the forest, we have a 4-lane highway, and on the other side is a golf course. So it's just a really thick strip of land that runs between those two, and it has a lot of really good hiding spots for bobcats. There's a lot of really thick areas of briar patch where they can tuck underneath and hide themselves pretty well. And just FYI, if I see this thing, I'm dropping the phone, so you may be face dirt in the mud. Here's a little culvert with some water that goes under the road. You'll have to excuse my form because I'm not really paying attention to what the camera's looking at. I'm trying to not trip on everything. So, just a little water area that we found some tracks at. So you can kind of see these drag marks in the mud, the smooth areas. And then there's some cat tracks right there. They're really undefined. It's hard to see on the camera, but you can see them a lot better in person. So I'm not sure if the cat ran into the woods and then to this water source and then backtracked, or if these are from earlier before it crossed the road and it was possibly dragging. There's always the chance that it could be an FLM cat. Like I said in the previous post, a Good Samaritan saw a bobcat on the side of the road. It looked like it had been freshly hit by a car. It was bleeding from its nose and mouth and was circling a lot, which is kind of indicative of head trauma. He called us and we were able to respond pretty quickly. But we were about 40 minutes away. So he was kind enough to sit and watch the bobcat until we arrived so that we'd have a better chance of catching it when we got here. Unfortunately, about 15 minutes before we arrived, it went into the woods. He said it was walking more normally, so hopefully the impact wasn't too bad and it just regained its wits and is resting somewhere. It's always really difficult when we come on these calls because even in the smallest patch of forest can be very thick with a lot of undergrowth. And even just the rehab cages that we have at Big Cat, the bobcats can hide impeccably well in just a small little palm tree. So out here, there's just numerous places, and we could walk right past it and not even know. Ooh. I don't like walking over a bunch of dry sticks. That's usually where snakes like to hide. You can just see the whole floor is just vines. So every step you take, you're getting entangled. We've walked back and forth several times now. No sign of it at all. So we'll most likely set up a live trap, and hopefully it'll return to this area, and we can catch it that way. The only issue with the live traps is you have to check them, and you don't want animals sitting in there. So we're about 40 minutes away from this location, so it's not going to be very convenient to check, but we'll give it a try. Every once in a while, we just kind of stop and listen and see if we hear other things walking around, or we'll listen to the birds and the squirrels because they'll usually tattle on a carnivore. But there's pretty much nothing in this little patch of forest. So other than one catbird that's been following us around, we haven't heard any warning calls. So I guess we'll head back to the van. We'll see what we can do about setting up a trap. And go from there. It's really sad when we can't find the animal to get it the help it needs. But at least we, give it a try. Somewhere along here, when I was walking earlier, I had found a cat skull. I set it out here so that I could get it when we went back to the van. Pretty old, but could be a bobcat. You're welcome. Now I gotta go find my gloves that I ditched. Yeah. So I'm gonna go find my gloves that I tossed when we initially got here, and we'll set up the trap and hopefully have some luck. I appreciate all you guys supporting us, and through your donations we're able to do stuff like this and help animals in need. Even if we're not always successful, at least we're giving it a shot, trying to get them the vet care that they need. And with that, I will say goodbye.